Well, good afternoon. This is Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. This is an update for the All Hazards Consortium Sensitive Information Sharing Environment, where we share information across platforms from private sector liaisons within state emergency operations centers and also the private sector owner-operators to make sure there's no interruption for keeping the economy moving and transportation, medical supplies, food, fuel, communications keep moving in times of hazards. Well, just about an hour ago, at about 10:44 Eastern Time, California time, Pacific time, we had an earthquake. The USGS reporting a 7.0 earthquake occurring about 56 miles off the coast of Eureka, California. And this is what it looks like in GeoCollaborate. You can see this is the epicenter here. I have displayed, and I'll take this full screen so you can see what's going on. I have put on the faults in GeoCollaborate here. This particular one is the Juan de Fuca fault in the Pacific part of the Pacific Plate. Here is the earthquake, 7.0 and 63 kilometers west-northwest of Petrolia, California, southwest of Eureka. And the depth was about 0.4 miles. Very, very shallow, extremely shallow for an earthquake. And so there was a tsunami warning issued. That tsunami warning extended throughout the coast of California. As a matter of fact, I want to show you what it looks like. Not the entire coast of California, but let's go ahead and take a look at what that looks like. So here's the tsunami warning that was issued, and here are the breakpoints from Davenport, California, which is 10 miles northwest of Santa Cruz, to Douglas Lane Line in Oregon, 10 miles southwest of Florence, Oregon. That tsunami warning was in effect until just a few minutes ago. The National Weather Service said that if anything was going to happen from this earthquake, it would have happened, and so nothing is expected to develop. Let me show you what the shake map looks like here and where it was seen. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here, and I'll show you what it looks like from that standpoint, and I'm going to put on the legend here. Here is where the epicenter was, but here is the shake map where things were felt, and that extended well inland. Look at this. This is the west coast of California, and it's say from Eureka is right up here, and then down to the south in California, just around the bend there is around Shelter Cove, the King Range National Conservation Area. It's very wooded here. And what I've also displayed, and you can see in the legend on the left-hand side, lower left-hand side, what the probability is of any landslides happening given this strength of an earthquake. And fortunately, where the probability is higher, and when I say higher, it's a 2 to 5% chance of landslides in these orange areas, it's mostly wooded. There's not much population around these areas, so that is good. But this is the USGS shake map, so you can see who felt this earthquake. I'm sure you'll see it in the news later on this afternoon and in this evening. And if we get any additional information, we will keep you updated on what it looks like. But once again, a 7.0 earthquake, and that is something that has occurred about an hour ago, a little bit more than an hour ago, about 10:44 Pacific time this morning. And you can see the plates here that I have loaded in GeoCollaborate, and you can see down here which directions they move to create this. And as a matter of fact, from a historical perspective, this is something that has happened before. And it is along these fault lines. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can put in the historic earthquakes. There we go. So you can see along this fault line, we have quite a few earthquakes happening. And this one here was right along in that fault line as well. But wow, only half a mile deep. That's certainly something that could alert everybody from emergency management to prepare for a tsunami. But this may be more like a strike slip and not the land upheaving underneath in the ocean to displace a lot of ocean water. So it looks like right now, from the National Weather Service's perspective, there is not a chance of a tsunami. Let's take a look at the satellite imagery. I've loaded up the Goes West satellite image to see what it looks like from the weather standpoint. And it's a beautiful day there on the west coast of California. And the latest information from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center, they are located in Honolulu, Hawaii. They have said that an earthquake with a preliminary magnitude of 7.0 occurred near the coast of Northern California at 1844 UTC on Thursday, December 5th. Based on all available data, the tsunami threat from this earthquake has now passed. There is no longer a tsunami threat from this earthquake. The Weather Service asks everyone to remain observant and exercise normal caution near the sea. Otherwise, no action is required, and this is the last statement on this earthquake. So that is good news. You can see from the Goes West satellite image standpoint, here's about Eureka, California. So off the coast here, you can see some high, thin cirrus clouds moving in, moving down the coast there, and some other clouds sort of evaporating as they move towards the mountains. But a beautiful day in that area, and fortunately, we have not seen any evidence of a tsunami moving towards the coast of California. So I suspect that tsunami warning will be canceled soon. And I'm going to switch the sector here, and I'm going to widen out a little bit. So we do have some weather that's headed for the west coast, and I do want to talk about that a little bit since we do have a chance of a atmospheric river over the next couple of days. And you can see it shaping up here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do one other thing. I loaded up the tighter in sector here. I'm going to load up the full disk imagery. There's the full disk in the west coast, and we can zoom in here now and I can show you what's going on. Can you spot the atmospheric river? That is what's heading towards about central northern Oregon coast on up into Washington State, and then into Vancouver and western BC. And that's what we'll be seeing over the next couple of days. This is the stream of moisture that's headed in. And here are the Hawaiian Islands right down here. Used to be called the Pineapple Express. Now the term is atmospheric river. This upper level low pressure system is really going to give this another kick, and it's going to drive this atmospheric river down to the south a little bit and impact western Oregon. So what I'd like to do is show you the atmospheric river forecast and show you what that looks like over the next couple of days. So you can see the blue dot. I've showed this before in the past. See this blue dot here in the central southern Oregon coastline. Whenever we see this, we can look over now and see the forecast relative to that point. So here we are right now. This is Thursday, Friday. So Friday night into Saturday morning, looks like we have a chance of an AR1. That is normally a nuisance atmospheric river. Doesn't cause any alarm, but there could be some heavy downpours that cause localized flooding, but nothing real widespread. So what I want to do here is I want to move up with this dot just a little bit. You can see I can move it up. We'll move up into the central Oregon coast. And you can see that it gets a little bit stronger. A little bit heavier precipitation is expected to come in to this area of Oregon. And again, Friday afternoon and evening into Saturday morning is when this atmospheric river is expected to impact this part of Oregon. And again, it's right on the borderline there of a weak to moderate atmospheric river. So again, there could be localized flooding if you're watching on the west coast of Oregon, and you're going to be experiencing this. And of course, it's going to move inland as well, and perhaps give some snow to higher elevations in Oregon. We can move these dots inland, but I'm just going to move them up the coast here so we can talk about here getting towards Astoria in Oregon, right near the Washington-Oregon border. And you can see once again it arrives a little bit earlier on Friday, so maybe around noon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon Friday, and then lasts until early hours Saturday morning. And that is a moderate atmospheric river in the green area here. And it looks like some models are just touching on the strong, but not really getting into it. The consensus is that it'll be a moderate atmospheric river here. Again, some localized flooding is possible, so you want to keep your eyes posted on that over the weekend, Friday into Saturday. As we move to the north, head up towards Vancouver, it's about the same story with moderate atmospheric river expected. A little bit sooner, though, because remember I showed you what it looked like from a satellite standpoint. Here it is, where all of this moisture, a lot of it is going to move up to the north of Oregon, into Washington State and Vancouver and Western BC. You can see it sort of has its eyes on that part of Canada and also the northwestern U.S. And that's where the majority of the concentration is going to be, up in Vancouver Island and also western British Columbia. But again, some of the impacts will be from about south central Oregon coast on up through Washington and Oregon. But let me get back to the atmospheric river forecast here for a second. And here we go. So moving up to the north, it looks like we're talking about a moderate atmospheric river chance all the way from Washington up into Vancouver. And then on up, it kind of diminishes to a lower AR1. Needless to say, rain is in the forecast there, and so I'd like to move this into the foothills a little bit, and you can see that the atmospheric river kind of goes away with inland progression of this moisture. Just an atmospheric river, AR1 expected along the Columbia River Gorge, so to the north, Mount Washington and Mount Rainier, up to the north even further, and also to the south, Mount Hood. We'll see some snow at higher levels as this atmospheric river comes inland. Now we can move even further inland and see what happens, and the atmospheric river kind of dissipates as we get on into time. And I can move into the interior west here, where it looks like this is past this purple here. That's just an interior weak atmospheric river. But here we go into the blue areas in western Montana, where it looks like we could have a weak atmospheric river. Notice the scale has changed. This is weak up here, and this is interior west atmospheric river scale. So looks like some higher elevation snows will develop inland. Okay, so that's what it looks like from the standpoint of the Western satellite picture, and we're certainly keeping an eye on it. Doesn't look like anything really major, but again, we're entering the season, so we do want to keep tabs on what's going on. Now I'd like to move to the east a little bit further, and let's take a look over in the Mid-Atlantic area and the Great Lakes, because we were talking yesterday about a lot of cold air moving in over the lakes, and that is what we have right now. We have cold air moving in, and temperatures are dropping. Right now in parts of the Middle Atlantic, temperatures are dropping into the 30s with west to northwesterly winds gusting to 40 miles per hour. As a matter of fact, I want to show you some of the real-time wind gusts and what it looks like. This is the wind gusts that we've had around the Maryland, Pennsylvania, West Virginia area during the day today when this frontal system came through. Look at this, 68 mile per hour winds recorded, and that was at Camp David near Thurmont, Maryland. That's where the retreat for the president is, and 68 mile per hour wind there. Some downed trees were also reported in certain areas, and we're doing another update as we speak. So wind gusts 31 miles an hour in Garrett County, Maryland, where earlier a blizzard warning was in effect. That has now been posted as a winter weather advisory. The blizzard warning has been canceled, but look at these wind gusts. Pretty high, even down around Washington, D.C., 40 miles per hour wind gusts there. And also in southwestern Virginia, wind gusts 46 miles per hour. So This weather system means business, and it's certainly going to continue to give us that. And what I'd like to do is go back to the satellite imagery here for a minute and get a little bit closer in what it looks like in the mid-Atlantic, because we have those pretty cool looking wave clouds. Look at these wave clouds coming across. As the wind blows across the Appalachian Mountains, it creates these wave clouds, and some of these have snow in them, dumping about less than an inch of snow here. But you can see even further up into Pennsylvania, a little bit more cloudiness and more snow happening there. And if I go towards, look at this, towards Lake Erie. This is Lake Erie, and here's Erie County in Pennsylvania. A lot of banding of lake effect snow happening there, and you can see these bands. These are pretty impressive bands coming through with heavy snow at times. So there have been some lake effect snow warnings in effect because of all this lake effect snow developing, with the cold air moving over the warm, relatively warm Great Lakes. And remember, yesterday we talked about the winds. Look at this. These strong winds happening off the coast of the mid-Atlantic right now. And they've calmed down a little bit over the state of Maryland. There is a wind advisory in this whole area in the mid-Atlantic. I will show you that on GeoCollaborate here in just a couple of minutes, because we do have winter weather impacts. Well, let's go ahead and I'll show you that right now. Let's go to full screen GeoCollaborate. Here is the Winter Storm Severity Index, and you can see anywhere that's shaded, there's impact to critical infrastructure. So driving, transportation, the trucks, tractor trailers will have difficulty driving in Erie County around Erie, Pennsylvania here. It's along Route 90 from Cleveland on up into Buffalo and up towards Syracuse. There is some pockets of treacherous driving conditions. This red area means dangerous, and even east of Lake Michigan in most of the state of Michigan, including Grand Rapids here, where conditions could be hazardous at times. This particular product is it's a great product from the Weather Prediction Center at the National Weather Service. They're identifying over the next 1 to 3 days where conditions will be hazardous due to winter weather. If you move out towards the west, you can see in just some of the higher elevations, doesn't look like anything serious, but we do have some pockets where it will be treacherous as that atmospheric river comes ashore. And that is something that we do want to pay attention to within the All Hazards Consortium. So that's what's happening as far as the Winter Storm Severity Index. But I want to take you back here to the Mid-Atlantic, because I want to turn on the advisories from the National Weather Service. And those advisories, I'll turn off this winter storm impact graphic, but turn on the watches, warnings, and advisories here, because there is a very interesting development along the coastline and in the Chesapeake Bay as well, with those stronger northwesterly winds. These red areas along the coastline and even in Long Island Sound, this is a warning for low water. There could be low water because of the strong northwesterly winds. And that means that any boats that are docked may end up sitting on the mud flats there because of those northwesterly winds. This big tan area is a wind advisory. So winds could gust 30 to 40, in some cases 50 miles per hour. Higher elevations down here in southwestern Virginia, a high wind warning, which means those winds are happening. And even unfortunately, in North Carolina, for the people that were so hard hit in western North Carolina, higher elevations here too. High winds are going to be blowing debris around. Some people have been living in tents, and that's been really bitterly cold. They've even had some snow in western North Carolina. So our hearts go out to you, and hope you have gotten indoors to local shelters because of this weather moving through. And so out in Garrett County, where we used to have that blizzard warning in effect, that has been lowered now, and there are winter storm warnings just outside of the state of Maryland, and blizzard warnings continue here in West Virginia, and a cold weather advisory. That's the first time I've heard of a cold weather advisory from the Weather Service. Have to take a look and see what that is. But the blizzard warning continues, and not so much for the accumulation of snow, but the strong winds blowing snow around. And here up towards the Great Lakes, there's that snow squall warning and even a blizzard warning for Lake Erie, for the Erie County, Pennsylvania. But look at in this color here, lake effect snow warnings continue. And I showed you that on the satellite imagery with that strong wind coming across both Lake Erie and also Lake Ontario, creating those snows in New York, Utica, Syracuse under winter storm warnings, and even in southern Vermont as well. And western Massachusetts has also wind advisory, and they also have they had earlier some statements about snow accumulating in western Massachusetts. Some of these bands really extended far to the east. And as far as impacting of critical infrastructure over Lake Michigan, we have gale warnings in effect and small craft advisories, obviously, and also winter storm warnings to the east side of Lake Michigan, including South Bend here. So we do have a lot of advisories and things going on on the East Coast. We have that earthquake that happened a little bit more than an hour ago off the coast of California. Again, that tsunami warning has been canceled. But look how cold it's going to be getting down in Florida. Once again, they have freeze watches in effect in Florida. And those freeze watches will be for tonight into tomorrow morning. And so that's something that I'm sure a lot of you will be bundling up, pulling out those parkas that you use maybe 1 or 2 days out of the year, even down into central and part of southern Florida. It's going to feel pretty chilly there as well. South Carolina, you have lake wind advisories and also wind advisories because of this frontal system coming through. Well, let's turn now to the models and what it looks like from the standpoint of the forecast models over the next couple of days here. So here's what I want to show you. This is the GFS. This parameter is the 2-meter temperature forecast. And I've started it about where the model is visualized. This is 12Z this morning. So about 7 o'clock this morning. You can see that cold punch of air. Look at that coming right down behind that frontal system. And that came through, and we're now into that cold air. And look how it spreads out throughout Kentucky and Tennessee, North Carolina, well down into Georgia, South Carolina. That's why you have those advisories in effect there. And this is cold air. It doesn't mean you're going to get snow. This is cold air. So one other thing you want to do is if you have your hoses outside, you want to disconnect those and make sure your hose bibs are turned off from the water source so they don't freeze and burst any pipes inside of your house if you're going to get down to freezing temperatures. But look, it's warm out west while we have that big trough and cold air in the east. It's warm out to the west, and this cold air is going to be pulling out pretty quickly because this is now, looks like it is the Sunday morning, early Sunday morning, and we start to warm up on the East Coast here. This is 18Z Sunday, so Sunday afternoon temperatures in the mid-Atlantic, likely in the 50s, some areas probably touching 60 degrees. It is a kind of a rock and roll up and down November, and we see those warm temperatures kind of remaining here on the East Coast through Tuesday of next week, and that's when we'll be having some rain showers moving in. I'll show you that in just a second. But these temperatures will then cool down on Thursday as we get another push of cold air in. But let me switch it over and show you the precipitation and what's expected to happen from the standpoint of the model. Here's that strong low pressure system, that Alberta Clipper that really developed into a very formidable low pressure system with the front off the coast. Here's that high pressure bringing cold air down from Canada. Just a couple days ago, this air was up close to the North Pole, believe it or not, several days ago. And so I'll put this in motion as that low moves out of the way. High pressure dominates in the East Coast and the Southeast, but it's a cold high pressure system. And we can see that system moving ashore on the West Coast This is during the evening on Saturday. So remember, we talked about that atmospheric river. It's really going to be moving through rather quickly as high pressure pushes that atmospheric river in. And in the Midwest, it looks like pretty tranquil weather and not too hot, not too cold after you've had that high pressure come down and give you that Arctic air. That's gonna be moderating as well. So as you go up into the future here, it looks like the Mid-Atlantic's going to be having some rain on Monday. So that looks like it's going to be a rainy day and another burst of cold air coming behind this frontal system. But it doesn't look like anything really dramatic in the weather picture over the next 5 days or so. And we're going to continue to monitor it, that's for sure. And one last thing I want to show you is the high-resolution rapid refresh model and where snows are expected to accumulate over the next 20 hours or so. So here we are at 17Z Thursday. That's just a couple of hours ago. This model output is every hour. And so you can see these strips of snow from lake effect snows developing. And that's why we have these winter storm warnings and lake effect snow warnings here in Erie County. So this snowfall accumulation is not going to be dramatic in central Pennsylvania. Maybe an inch or 2 or 3 in western Maryland. It's really the wind that makes the blizzard warnings happen because of lower visibility. And they've been canceled now in western Maryland. Some of the ski resorts there are getting some snow. So that's what the snow accumulation looks like. Let me run this out all the way. This is the HRR model, the high resolution rapid refresh model. And the other thing that I want to do is just show you real quickly as we end this what these cams look like. This is the Wisp Ski Resort in western Maryland, and you can see they are getting ready. They open tomorrow on Friday, so they'll be officially open for the season, and you can see they have plenty of snow there, and clouds are coming and going. So they'll be getting bursts of snow showers that will add to the base there. And the forecast there for the next couple of days, the blizzard warning has now been canceled, so that's great news. And it looks like they'll just have snow showers through the next couple of days. So if anybody's heading out to western Maryland, out to Wisp, you'll have some great times out there. And one other place I wanted to show you, out all the way out west, this is Steamboat in Steamboat Springs, Colorado. It's sunny out there in Colorado, a blue sky day. Lots of people skiing. You can see the half pipe there, just halfway up that first mountain. And looks like their forecast too. They'll be getting some snow in by the end of the weekend, but the rest of the week here looks very nice. Cold temperatures, though, out there at the higher elevations at Steamboat Springs in Steamboat, Colorado. The furthest northwest ski resort in Colorado happening there. And so that's it for this update. I'm Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. I just want to wish you a good rest of the day. There's this atmospheric river coming into the west coast. Again, it doesn't look severe, just a nuisance kind of rain and maybe some localized flooding. And one more time, that 7.0 earthquake that was recorded southwest of Eureka, California, less than a half a mile, about a half a mile deep, did not produce a tsunami. Although a tsunami warning was in effect, it was canceled about 30 minutes ago. So thanks for watching this update. We'll be back tomorrow with another one. Please watch out for yourself, take care of yourself, and take care of your neighbors. We'll see you tomorrow.